Good morning. Hello. Can you hear me talk? Test this for voice. Good. So, what I wanted to talk about was Mars here because someone told me last night that people are going around saying Mars is out of whack. I've heard this about the moon as well. So I thought this might be a good way just to record a quick video about it. What I have on the screen is from 2005 until 2018 on this date, because to do a whole decade worth of plotting would take freaking eternity. But on this date, this is where Mars was for the last 12 years. I know it's hard to see, but we can see the definite pattern there. Doesn't look out of whack to me. Same with the moon. Yep, see, Jimbo knows what he's talking about. He knows these planets are doing what they're supposed to do. And they're right where they're supposed to be, and they've been there before, and they're going to be there again. Maybe I'll do one for each planet. Yeah, they're not accurate. Jimbo knows. He's been studying the Antikytherian mechanism. And boy, that sucker's pretty telling, huh? Hello, Nicholas, Jimbo, Andres. Good morning. Just talking about Mars and how people are saying that they're out of whack. Yeah, they pass in front of the sun. But yeah, it wouldn't be a bad thing, maybe, to put all the planets down. One second. Closer than the sun and the moon. Tell me more, Jimbo. I know you've been studying this Antikytherian. Did you find out any new big secrets? What we consider secrets anyway, we don't know. We weren't taught properly. We're not taught properly about these planets, you know, some of these things. Yeah. And they stay right close to the equator. They appear to be climbing and descending the halos. Yeah, Jimbo knows what he's talking about big time with these planets. That Antikytherian is very telling, isn't it? I would invite you on, Jimbo, to talk about it, but I don't know how to do that on OBS. I just now learned how to kind of use it pretty good. But anyway, yeah, feel free to, grab a copy of this here map I've plotted and I suppose make it a little bit better readable because it's pretty small, but yeah, we need to talk about all this stuff again, have a meetup soon, hopefully. But yeah, have a copy of this map. Maybe I'll put out one for each luminary. Like I said, I plotted a whole year's worth, but to do a decade the way I did it, it would take a really long time. I don't have that kind of time. I have shown people how to plot these things, so anyone that has more time is more than welcome to take the information and plot them out, My problem is time, not knowledge of doing it. I just don't have time to sit and do it like that. Yeah, refreshers are always good. Learn new stuff every day. The other interesting thing I was kind of looking at was the little alien sightings. And they're very interesting as well when you look at where these things happen. They're falling on our grid. They're falling on our, our Quake Pass, our grid, our Temple Pass. I mean, the grid is everything. Everything falls on the grid. It really does. And I know that it lays across the world, but these things fall directly on the grid. So, anyway, I came here to talk about Mars. Now I'm ranting. So, today I was going to talk about the Bering Strait because it's such a mystery with our map how the Bering Strait exists. So, the way I see it is it's definitely like the Polynesian Islands. They're hiding some information and skewing it on this globe. So, everyone always says that there is, it can be seen from Alaska to Russia, okay? And from Russia to Alaska. So, first of all, let's look at these two islands. See the two islands? They're separated. Both of them actually have the same name. One of them's called Big Diomede Island, and the other one is Little Diomede Island. Okay? It's interesting that Little Diomede was sitting at Saturday at 4 a.m. when I did this. Okay? I went and looked it all up on time and date, looked up the two different islands and what their times were at that time. Okay? So we've got Saturday 4 a.m. and we have Sunday at midnight on the Big Island. So that actually is about a 20-hour difference. Okay, it's kind of crazy since they both have the same name, don't you think? Not to mention that because of the times that they actually say they are, so let's just forget the days for a minute, okay? So little Diomede is going to light up with daylight in about an hour and a half from the time that I took this reading, okay? And big Diomede won't light up with daylight for about 5.5 hours from the time I took this reading, okay? Don't we find that a little interesting considering they're only 2.42 miles apart? So, to kind of sum it up about the Bering Straits, well, it's one more lie, just like the Polynesian Islands. There's two sets of these things on opposite sides, and they're just calling them the same thing. So, yeah, we should definitely also look into some flights. How long do flights take from Little Diomede to Big Diomede Island, or shipping tracks? So I'll look into that next time. This time I just wanted to point out about the time. We can also look at the days. 20 hours difference between these two very small islands. They're only about 3 miles apart. Okay. And the fact that daylight hits one and it doesn't hit the other one for about 4 hours. So that's about all I have. Have a good day. Hello. Okay, so today we're going to talk about energy. And we're going to relate it to the research that we do. So, did you know the word energy from the Indo-European root is poti, meaning powerful? And from the Greek word energia means activity or operation, basically being at work. To fully grasp the workings of our world, one must understand the various kinds of energy. Every single event that occurs in this world is an energy transformation of a particular type. The sum total of energy in the world is constant. It's an infinite flow, and it manifests itself in various forms. These forms can undergo transformations. Energy can only be indirectly observed and measured as it manifests itself in these different forms. It can be further characterized through its observed properties. So, what kind of energies are there? Well, basically, they're all either kinetic or potential. Kinetic energy is due to movement. Potential energy is stored and waiting to happen. Now, these can be further broke down by the characteristics of the energy itself. So we have different kinds. We have mechanical, thermal, electrical, nuclear, sound, electromagnetic, chemical, light, and thoughts, just to name a few. So let's talk about carbon. Carbon is a chemical element, and it's a pretty common one. It's the sixth most common element in the world, and the 15th most common in our Earth's crust. Unlike a lot of other chemical elements, you can see some forms of carbon. Diamonds are one form of carbon. So, science says that most of the carbon is deep in the earth. For once, I'll sort of agree with them. Amorphous carbon is a third form of carbon, and it's a lot harder to see since, unlike diamonds and graphite, it doesn't have a crystalline structure. It's commonly known as coal. So carbon is the building block for all life on Earth, and a good chunk of the total amount of it that's held in the Earth is living or dead organic molecules. So, how does this tie to volcanoes? Well, the carbon cycle comes from the volcanoes, from the process happening in the underworld. And eventually, after it comes to surface and cools, it becomes rock or mineral. It does become our new land. This is the creation process. Angel technologies below are what cause lava, the carbon, and the volcanoes. These are the vents of the underworld and the designed waste and recycle system. Through the creation system, what is needed gets used. What isn't needed or has fault is pushed to the waste holding tanks, or the magma chambers. When the basins get full, they release and a cleaning occurs. These are our eruptions. Some have a steady flow for long periods. So you have to kind of think of it that all these different tubes are leading to a certain spot, the basin, the holding tank. And if there's so many, it has to steady flow out. We can see this with Hawaii. So I took some time and outlined a whole lot of the tubes that indeed lead to Hawaii. And you can see why it had to have a steady flow. Somewhere along the line, it must have bottlenecked recently, and I think that led to the explosion, or old tubes that weren't used opened up. So then we do have our exploders, the ones that blow every time. They're usually high in silicon, and when they become full, they do blow. So when this cleanse happens, the lava comes up from the chamber through the lava tubes. These tubes appear to be constructed, as we can see here in these photos. There is little to no lava traces after the tube has cleared. So this tells me it's designed to push the waste up and out and clear the tube until the next cleaning cycle. These lava tube systems run for miles and miles and connect to grids on the underside. As we can see here, I've connected several of these systems. We speculate there must be shutoffs to these, so to speak. Something will shut off the flow, which allows the tubes to be cleared. The ancients knew this process very well, and they shared these processes with us. We used ancient Egyptian script to show one of the many processes that lead to the need to expel the waste. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over so we can get into how these conclusions came to by us. Thank you. Hello, today I want to talk about Hawaii and the the lines that are all around and lead out from it, and all the different Nazca lines in this area. This area is quite complicated. So this is Hawaii. And you can see it's basically one big volcano. There's different, 3 different outputs, but this island to me is one big volcano in itself. So I consider it a huge power point of our Earth and our plane. And I can kind of show you why. So when you kind of go through and you look at the different lines and designs coming off of it, which I haven't done them all. I mean, there's many. So you can see what I'm doing. Okay. Well, Hawaii is very complex. Has different complex systems coming off. And it appears to me like it's, it's feeding a lot of the Pacific, this energy. So as I zoom out, you can clearly see different systems forming. These are really the lines on the topography, under the topography. You can see the push-up under the bottom of the ocean. Here's an example that I have not even started on in this session. I have quite a few more than this done, but I have to turn them off and start over to do different things and clearly be able to see the lines. So, yeah, Hawaii reaches out, but then we have a different system. There's this point where the globe is kind of skewing things up. It's hard to tell if all of it's a part of the same thing or if some of it might be something different. For instance, this does make a clear structure to me. It's pyramidal shaped energy, frequencies. We have antennas in there. Come down here though, and it almost looks like a new different system starting. By the way, this is where Cassiopeia resides, because I've also been fiddling around with the constellations and where they are and how it relates. Transferring any and all of this to a flat map has posed quite difficult. I could definitely use some help. Anyone that knows how to do programs or maybe just fantastic artwork, it'd be pretty awesome. But yeah, this is definitely the Hawaii system. Okay. I'm sure it'll continue on. I just haven't got that far. See the lines in there. All the different volcanoes that have pushed up due to it. I'm sure this is part of the rest of this here structure. So, yeah. Well, that's about all I have. Have a good day. So, on this one, I mapped our double helix, which makes like a double infinity. I also put where our chakras are, our supervolcanoes, and how many accelerators are in the area. I found it pretty interesting because accelerators are right on our chakras. Just wanted to put that information out there. This is all stuff people need to look at. They need to understand the construct of our world. Yeah, everything tells the same story, including the technology that, I mean, I don't know if they've put all these accelerators here or if they were already here and they're just using them. But I know my maps are hard to read, they're small. But yeah, and then you look at this, and if you have ever looked at earthquakes or understand earthquakes, all of this stuff falls right on the earthquake paths. These all follow the volcanoes. This is all a result of the technologies below. You know. Just trying to get this other video to play. Okay, hello. So today I was going to show everyone how to plot planets, how to find the coordinates, and how to put them on this silly little Google ball. And then after that you can transfer them to a flat map. So I use this app called Astrolight. In the home page you can choose whatever date, which I already did. I chose today. And then you just take down the coordinates. So we've got the sun and the moon. The coordinates are right here. Okay. Right in here. See them? Okay. So alright, so you just write down your coordinates, and you go to your Google, and you want to click over to sky. You'll enter your coordinates, so we'll put in the sun. There we go, and we'll pin it. Okay, so we'll put sun 8, 6. Okay, and I always like to put the date because, well, I do several. And I think we'll make this yellow. I've already got some other stuff going on, so I'll put these yellow. Yellow for the sun. Okay. And then you'll click back to your Earth. Find your sun. And there it is, which is where it actually does travel, just right there, South America. Okay. And if you want to get like a whole bunch of suns and get the sun path, then you would have to go to every single day, or at least every couple days, grab the sun coordinates and then enter them individually and pin them. Same for the planets. When I did my planets, I went through and did one for every week, because the planets, they don't move as fast. So I did one for every week for 52 weeks, and that's how I got a year's worth. And it ended up making these very beautiful sine waves, which I did a video about. You can see I have a few things going on here. That's because I was actually plotting different eclipses and seeing if I can't get a good idea of why they eclipsed. But yeah, it's that simple. It does take a lot of time, but to me it's well worth it because I can know exactly where these luminaries are and how they're affecting our world, and you know, the paths they take. So that's what I was going to show you. Have a good day. Hello. Okay, so I wanted to do something fun for a change. Okay, so we're going to go and look at some of these world-size glyphs. I just have to say these don't appear to be natural to me. There's antennas. It appears to be structures. There's no way that I can get all these lines outlined anytime soon, but I want everyone to see world-size Nazca lines. Coming from PowerPoints, attaching to antennas. Well, the antennas are probably making the PowerPoints, sending the energies. Got our antennas again in the midst of the structure. It's not finished. Right now it kind of looks like a frog, but more antennas. They're all connected through a little system. I just don't have it done. It's going to take a really long time. Anyone that knows about electricity should understand this circuit board pretty well, actually. Let's look at the whole system here. This is quite a big system going on around Australia, between what they call Antarctica and Australia. It would actually just be one little side of Antarctica. But yeah, New Zealand down here. Tasmania's got a lot of energy coming off of it. Here's Fuji. Fiji. Fuji. A lot going on there. Again, coming off New Zealand. Another antenna. It's a power grid. Just like we've been saying. We're not going to go over there yet. That's complicated. All the yellow markers are volcanoes. Not down here, those are planet paths and sun and stuff, but all these are all volcanoes. This, I think, is one big volcano that measures 1,659 miles wide and 2,238 miles long. So when you see a caldera on a volcano, that's kind of what it looks like. Imagine this on a smaller scale. You know, it always sinks and collapses in the center, but there's always the little peaks sticking up. Well, if these were all just part of the exterior of the peak still standing, and this was the collapsed part, I mean, the volcano would be freaking huge. Now, I don't know that for sure. Let's go back to the lines. Where all these circles are, the land actually looks like that. I'm sure that it's been formed through accelerators in the area. But yeah, just wanted to show some of the real world Nazca size lines. You know, they're everywhere. I haven't really started on the land so much. Find a lot of giants in the landscape. But yeah, this is our grid, our energy. You can see some of it gets a little bit crazy. I just haven't finished those parts. But some of it is very perfect looking 3D antennas and such, accelerators. You know, down here almost reminds me of a solar panel. More antennas. Yep, but that's all I got. Thank you. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to shut it down here in a second, but back to Mars, which was the whole reason that I started streaming, was to talk about how some people say the luminaries are, you know, out of whack. They're, you know, I heard Mars was not where it's supposed to be, and I've heard other people say the moon isn't where it's supposed to be. And what I was trying to get across was they are exactly where they're supposed to be, and they'll always be where they're supposed to be. This is all by design. They're all timed. They're on timed systems. They have programs to do exactly what they do. So I plotted Mars here on September 17th, and I went back all the way to 2005. So from 2005 to 2018, this is where Mars was on this date for that year. And it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Now, if you can see the map, which I know that it's pretty small, you know, it does go on its path, and it kind of does a sine wave. I did that other video where you can see how they do waves. They're climbing, ascending, and descending the halos, so they appear further away, closer at times. Oops, sorry about that. Well, anyway, yeah, about Mars and all the other luminaries. The whole point is these things are timed, and they're not out of whack. If they get out of whack, then that means that they've broken, and well, then they're in trouble. They have to go to the naughty room. But that's about all I really have to say about it. Still learning. You need to have studied these for several years and looked at them for several years before you can, I think anyone could decide if they're out of whack. And now I have not studied these things for many years. I have not, but I have looked at many years worth of them plotted and how they just continuously do the same thing. You know, they're following the same systems. And this is their design, their harmonic. Jimbo had a good word. You know, they all kind of dance around and through each other, through the sky. We don't see it like that. Our perception is our own perception. Everybody has their own perception, and the way we see things is different. So, anyway, I'm not going to keep ranting.